You're watching Nurse Richard the Wax Wizard. Enjoy the procedure, but the earwax will be back.
As Arnie said, it will be back every time. Thank you. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and welcome. It's Nurse Richard the Wax Wizard. And yeah, this lady has been back a couple of times already, believe it or not, and you can see the reason why. You've got an incredibly narrow ear canal. Now, most ear canals are kind of shaped a bit like that. It's weird, I can't even make it shape with me. It's really elongated, but the problem with it is the cartilage portion on the outer part of the ear, the outer third, it's really stiff. There's just no giving it at all. It's really difficult, and I'm not to get this thing out there, having to do it really slowly, and you might get a bit frustrated watching it. It's frustrating doing it, but it is what it is sometimes. The way, because I've seen this lady a couple of times, the best way to remove it, you can barely fit any tools in there, it's that narrow. What you have to do is put the suction tube on it, and you've got to really hold it there for a few seconds, and then it allows the power in the machine to build up, and then you can finally start to just move it and wiggle it a bit. But it's really difficult. And it's why it's a little difficult to see. You'll appreciate more just how tricky this ear is when we come at it from a different angle, which you can probably see now. And it's tough stuff. It's about once every year this lady comes to see me. I make notes with every patient. It's not written down, it didn't happen, is the old nursing saying. So before someone comes in, I quickly read the notes, and then if I read it, I might have wrote something like it's a really difficult one, or you're going to need the fine end for this, or you're going to need a tool for this. And this one I always write stiffened and narrow, because that's exactly what it is. Difficult to pull out. It's quite bendy as well, because as soon as you go into the ear, it kind of veers off to the right hand side. But there's just no give in this thing. Now, if you are thinking why am I holding it on there for a bit longer, what happens? How the suction tube works. More so the machine behind it. As you can see from this is a good example of it. This it's shaped like I don't know. It's like a banana. Maybe that's what I'll call this episode: banana shaped here. As soon as you block the suction tube with the wax, it starts to, when it's fully occluded and blocked, then the power in the suction machine increases. So that's why sometimes it's better to stick the suction tube on it and just allow the pressure to build up. I think at this point the suction tube may well have been completely blocked up, so I'm kind of dragging it forward, using the tube in a manual fashion, which you can do. And after a little wriggle, this banana-shaped wax manages to finally get out. It wasn't a huge amount, it wasn't massive, it was big enough, but made a big difference. So you can see it's kind of banana-shaped. Go around the bend, the eardrum looks okay, doesn't look too bad at all.
Probably why I've had more of a...
But yeah, tricky little thing. Now, speaking of tricky little things, here's another one. This lady, she was actually the family member of somebody else who came to see me. And I cleared them first. I don't know if they appeared in another video or not. And this lady said, can you have a look inside my ear? Because a good while ago, whether it was a number of months ago, she had her ears done. And she remembers a really sharp pain at one point in the procedure. And she said it just felt like I'd been jabbed. And this is probably the result of that. Now, this lady was on anticoagulants, so I had to be really careful with this. This is the fine end tube. So from what I can gather from looking at it and the history that she gave me, they'd cleared the ear, maybe trying to mop up a few little bits, and then jabbed her with a suction tube and caused a little trauma. And then this little trauma is then scabbed over. It's basically dried blood is what this is. And ever since then, she's just felt, what's the word for it? Just a bit of an annoyance in there. She obviously wasn't feeling blocked up because this thing wasn't blocking her ear canal, far from it. But she could just tell there was something in there that was irritating her, like niggling away at her. And so I had a look in and found this little scab, which obviously hadn't. Ordinarily, stuff like this, with a bit of oil usually, it would naturally migrate out of the ear, but for some reason this one hadn't. And so I said, oh, I'll get that out for you. And sometimes you regret starting something because you think, oh, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Because I'm having to be so careful because she's on anticoagulants. You know, if I catch that, then she'd just start bleeding again, and then we'll be back to square one. And she's already lost a little bit of confidence in other people who do this. So I don't want to make that any worse for her if she needs it done again. I'd rather she came to me. But yeah, it is really highly magnified, this, but like I said, this is the fine end tube. And what I'm trying to do now is like a backwards peel. But it's so firmly attached, this dried blood, to the ear canal. It's all in the bony part of the ear canal as well. So it's going to be uncomfortable if I catch that again. So that's the last thing I'm trying to do. But it's really stuck on there. And the reason why I thought I'd remove it because this has been there for a reasonably long amount of time. Whether it was a matter of months or not, I'm not entirely sure. She said it had happened a few years ago that she'd felt a procedure was uncomfortable. I don't know if it's from that or not. I would doubt it. But you don't want any little scab or dried blood in the ear. You don't really want it in there. You'd rather get it off because you don't want anything festering underneath it. Because worse still, as the skin's naturally trying to shed out the ear, it might kind of sneak underneath that because it's a really hardened lump of dried blood, and you don't want anything sneaking in there and then start to ulcerate the ear canal. So I thought it is better it comes out, and thankfully it did. After much faffing about. There we go, finally managed to get it. And also, when you want to remove something like this, is just to make sure that it looks okay underneath it. That it has all healed. And as you can see, it had. So she left a lot happier than she had left the previous provider anyway. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. But for now, take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Ta-da.